Rapids, Michigan is a typical Midwestern blue-collar city, 2 hours west of Detroit. It's the birthplace and hometown of superstar boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr., who by most accounts had a rather typical childhood along with his large and close extended family.
Oldest granddaughter of the family, so I did a lot of the babysitting for all the young kids. The one thing I enjoyed about babysitting for Floyd was because he always made it entertaining and his daddy paid very well.
Influenced by two dynamic figures, his father, Floyd Sr., a successful professional, and his uncle, Roger, a former welterweight champion.
And of course, the coveted gold gloves he's wearing right here. An amazing feat when you consider this was little Floyd's first amateur tournament.
He was throwing the hook good as any pro. I'm just saying the way he was throwing, he was hitting the dough knives. You know, he used to hit the dough knife, throw uppercuts, hooks, and you know, he was just so high in the dough knife about right there where he was. And man, I mean, like he was throwing uppercuts, hooks.
But there was also a dark side to Floyd's childhood. With a drug-addicted mother and a father who always seemed to find trouble. The Mayweather household was a dangerous place.
I seen a little bit of everything. Seen shootouts, been in the middle of shootouts. When my dad was hustling, doing his thing, I seen my dad sell my mother drugs. And things happened. You know, that was my life then.
Years later, when Floyd was 16 years old, the older Mayweather found trouble again when he was arrested for selling drugs.
It was a bad, hard thing for me. I ended up going to prison. I did 3.5 years. I thought about my son a whole lot. I took the bitter with the sweet, man. I mean, you know, my son was doing good.
My dad was locked up. My dad was locked up in the feds. I had to become a man at a young age, at 16. At 16, I had to provide for myself. Had to make a way for myself. At 16, I had to provide for myself. Had to make a way for myself.
At 16, I had to provide for myself. Had to make a way for myself. This was how Floyd Mayweather's story was presented to the masses, but there were key details in his script that was left out, and I believe that all this was done intentionally. We'll explain why a little bit later, but let's hear the side that many of us were not told about Floyd Mayweather.
Okay, friend, we're back with Don Hale. And Don, you know, along the way, you used to live in Michigan, and there was a young teenager there who everybody knows is a great fighter today, who ended up living with you and your wife. Tell us a little bit about that young man and his story.
I was living in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but I went out with Frankie the week before the fight, and I went out on a Sunday. On Monday, we go to the boxing gym, and Roger Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather's uncle, and someone told him that I was from Grand Rapids, and Roger comes over and says, "I hear you're from Grand Rapids." Yes. He said, "I have a nephew who's not in the gym, he's running the streets, his dad just went to prison, and said he really needs somebody to watch after him. Would you mind looking at him?" I said, "Sure, have him give me a call." So the following week when I got back to Grand Rapids, Floyd called me. I met him at a Damon's barbecue. We went out to my house. The next day he moved into my house. He was 16 years old at the time. He was 16 years old at the time.
At 16, I had to provide for myself. Had to make a way for myself. At 16, I had to provide for myself. Had to make a way for myself.
At 16, I had to provide for myself. Had to make a way for myself.
So you raised him.
Live on MREC TV, it's the Wolfpack. So real quick, let the people know who you be. Then I want to get the other homie next to you and the homie behind you. I bet. All right, yeah. For those who don't know what I'm saying, I go by the name of David Flash Sparks. Everybody else, you know, I'm Sedan Scott, otherwise known as Lord Armani. You can look me up on Instagram, repping Cincinnati, Ohio. You know, OH10, Ohio's finest in the building. Yes, sir. It's your boy Stacy Crenshaw, aka Dream Killer. Everybody know me, man. Harlem's on. All y'all professional boxers, right? That's a fact. Right. So, yo, it was so much people. Yo, let's keep it raw, B. The nigga father loved me, man. The nigga father loved me like if I was one of his. That's why I love this pops, you know what I'm saying? So you saying Floyd Mayweather Sr. and Jr. is night and day? Night and day, bro. Night and day. Word to my mother, he want to be his pops. It's sad that that's his son, but yo, you could tell that he want to be his pops, but he don't know how. He wasn't guided up like that, because you know what I'm saying. His pops left out his life, I guess. You know what I mean? Well, his pops told me, man, I'm not gonna sit there and sugarcoat nothing. His pops told me, my son is not raised like this. You see how you come from the ghetto, and you just know. I taught my son this. I taught him how to fight. He ain't from the ghetto.
Yo, Rec, they said Floyd was raised by a white family. Floyd was raised by a white family.
Floyd was raised by a white family.
So you raised him.
So you raised him.
You know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah. Floyd was raised by a white family in Jersey, I think. So he not from what I know, he not from that close. Now I'm saying, where we from, it's certain guidelines and rules and regulations that we go by. To my knowledge, he don't know, he wasn't from that close. So,
And because of your managerial background with, Frankie Randall, you thought you'd end up managing him when he turned pro, but someone came along and offered him a carrot, and he took it.
Floyd, I knew he was a great fighter, but then he was young, and when the money came at the Olympics, Floyd left me. It was like having one of my kids, turn their back on me at that time.
Well, as a teenager, when he lived with you and your wife, how long did he stay with you, and what was he like in those days?
He lived with us a little over 2 years, and Floyd, I can remember he always liked the better clothes. My kids would not wear name brand. It wasn't important to wear name brand clothes. They actually didn't want to. Floyd wanted the best of everything. Whenever the new Jordan shoes came out, we'd have to wait till midnight so he could get them. Floyd was rambunctious, and he knew how to brag about himself. He was proud of what he would accomplish.
I guess he was so focused on boxing that in those 2 years that he lived with you and your wife, you didn't have a lot of trouble with him?
No, he was I was trying to get him to graduate high school. He actually got 1 credit away from graduating high school before the Olympics came. And to my knowledge, he never did finish that. I don't guess he needs that too bad right now.
Yeah.
But he'd go to school. He would stay with us, and then there would be nights he would stay with his grandmother. But he never got into trouble. No, that was never a problem at all as far as Floyd getting into trouble.
I stayed with my dad for a certain period of time. Then eventually I moved with my mother to Jersey. There was 7 people staying in a 1-bedroom apartment, no heat. 7 people staying in a 1-bedroom apartment, no heat.
7 people staying in a 1-bedroom apartment, no heat.
Even matter of fact, I even went to prison for helping my son. It wasn't for me, it was for my son. I make sure he had the boots he wanted, the shoes he wanted, the gloves he wanted, and make sure he had everything he needed. I went to prison for, doing things that I shouldn't have been doing, but hey, it was that way or no way.
How tough do things get financially for the family? He, I think at one point talked about 7 people being in one room.
Well, my son, that particular thing that he's talking about, 7 people being in the room, I don't know nothing about that. Because as far as I know, when me and his mother stayed together, it was him and his sister. That was in the house that I lived in with my son. He might have been talking about my mother's house, but he didn't exactly stay there. He stayed over there from time to time, but that wasn't the place where he lived. He lived there where I stayed. So all that stuff about people's
7 people staying in a 1-bedroom apartment, no heat.
So all that stuff about people's
Floyd Mayweather's life story was fabricated and sold to the masses as a fairy tale motion scripted career in the Matrix. Everything seems real because what's scripted is used to influence the masses, and it is played out by actors and actresses on a world stage in real time, which then creates a world full of more characters and lifestyles for them to follow. Even if Floyd Mayweather only lived with Don Hale for 2 years, why would they continuously highlight the fact how Don Hale raised Floyd Mayweather Jr.? Living with someone for 2 years doesn't erase the rough life you lived for 16 years. A manufactured plant by the occult. His life story and career is coded by the numbers with many hidden riddles. Floyd Sr. is also a part of the fraternity as well. The month of May is when the secret society and occult was supposedly founded, hence the name Mayweather. This was why he always had his major boxing events in May. His fights were a ritual and a commemoration to the occult and Satan, as millions of fans celebrated and took part of the ritual as well. The number 5 is the most sacred number to the occult. In the Satanic Bible, there are 9 satanic statements, which is just a Satanist version of the 10 Commandments. It states that the number 5, Satan represents vengeance, instead of turning the other cheek. May is the 5th month of the year. In math, remember, the number 0 is meaningless, so 0 is simply a distraction. This is why Mayweather finished his boxing career with a total of 50 wins, which is just 5. This is why we have 50 states. This is why they have the 5-star pentagram, and why he constantly beefs with the rapper 50 Cent.
This is a special ASLELS challenge for you, Floyd. If you can read one full page of a Harry Potter book, nigga, I'll give $750,000 to whatever charitable organization you want to. Fuck the bucket of ice, man. I got a phone call from my man Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy said if Floyd accepts the challenge, that he'll put it on the actual show, so you can read it on the show. We don't want to put pressure on you. We know you can't pronounce those words in that Harry Potter book, so we're gonna let you read Cat in the Hat. Even the things that I say online, from a comedic standpoint, I use the graphic language because I'm 50 Cent, so it lands the right way.
But you're funny, even in your, I mean, even in the history of, like, even when you was going at Ross real hard, there was a lot of comedy there.
Yeah, Pimp and Curly.
Even that Pimp and Curly, take it back to Pimp and Curly. That's when you tapped into the your comedy side. Then this Floyd thing recently.
Yeah.
Part of it is funny because it's funny. You did it from a funny type of place.
Yeah, like you know, look, Champ can read.
He can read?
He can read.
Okay.
Look, Champ can read.
He can read?
He can read.
Okay.
Look, Champ can read. He can read? He can read. Okay.
I don't want, I don't want to hurt him, Ange, but he do things that like agitates me. He do things to aggravate me a little bit. Like, his personality is like, I look at him like my little brother too, like my younger brother, but he'll pick at you like you ain't bigger than me. Look, Champ can read.
He can read?
He can read.
Okay.
Look, Champ can read.
He can read?
He can read.
Okay.
Look, Champ can read. He can read? He can read. Okay.
50, even when people was in the past, when 50 said this about you, and then they was talking about, I don't know the guy, man, another guy went on a talk show.
Yeah.
He's What's the little guy from the talk show? I'll never get to meet him.
Oh, you talking about Charlemagne?
Yeah, I mean, people can chop, you know, as far as on radio shows, people can chop and edit different interviews the way that they want to chop and edit different interviews.
One of the things everyone was watching was your spoof on Floyd Mayweather. One of the things everyone was watching was your spoof on Floyd Mayweather.
One of the things everyone was watching was your spoof on Floyd Mayweather.
Your spoof on Floyd Mayweather. Your spoof on Floyd Mayweather.
Your spoof on Floyd Mayweather.
Trying to read. What happened? Oh yeah, it was real life. So Floyd was trying to read at your station. What exactly went down, and why do you think he had trouble? Was it just that one particular time, or can he just not read?
I don't know if he can read or not. I mean, if you listen to me when I played the clip, I said that. I just wanted people to hear him read because that was what the conversation was about, Floyd Mayweather reading.
So you weren't trying to make fun of him?
Absolutely not. If you listen to it, I didn't crack not one joke.
He was relaying the facts.
That's all I wanted my listeners to hear was Floyd Mayweather reading. You know, 50 Cent challenged him twice, and then Jimmy Kimmel was like, hey, if you're going to do it, come on my show. So I figure if I got audio of Floyd reading, why not let the listeners hear it? Okay. You know, maybe people could say that's a little shiesty and a little underhanded, but hey, man, my job is to get ratings. My job is to get ratings.
My job is to get ratings.
To be clear, we're not laughing at the fact, nobody's laughing at people who can't read.
I am.
They're laughing at the fact that Floyd Mayweather, 100 millionaire, can't read.
The bad guy. Well, maybe he'll go back to school now. Maybe you. Bad guy. Well, maybe he'll go back to school now. Maybe you.
Bad guy. Well, maybe he'll go back to school now. Maybe you
helped him. You feel bad, but a bad guy, you can't wait to tear him down.
Yeah, he's a villain. You know what's funny, man? It didn't take me no time at all. I mean, we had a discussion about it in the room, and I'm the type of person I like to super serve my listeners. And you know, everybody heard 50 Cent saying that Floyd can't read, and we heard Nelly saying that he only had a 6th grade education or something like that. He didn't graduate high school, whatever it was. So I was wondering what the hell they were talking about. So then when one of my producers was like, well, you know, we have audio of Floyd reading. When I heard it, I was like, oh, we got to let the listeners hear this. When I heard it, I was like, oh, we got to let the listeners hear this.
When I heard it, I was like, oh, we got to let the listeners hear this.
I don't know if he can read it. I don't know if he can read it.
I don't know if he can read it. When I heard it, I was like, oh, we got to let the listeners hear this.
I think a lot of it has to do because it's Floyd Mayweather, and he's been such a bad guy. And like, I'm a bad guy. You know, I know my perception of me is, yo, Charlemagne's a bad guy. Just like 50 Cent is a bad guy, Floyd's a bad guy.
I now know that Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent are involved in this epic beef. We'll just take you through a little bit of what's been going on over the last couple days. What do you make of this beef between Floyd and 50? Because you know Floyd's got a fight coming up September 13th.
Well, I think 50 could do a couple of those big time checks as well at this point in his life. I'd like to see some of those vitamin water checks that 50 Cent has been collecting over the last couple of years. But some context here first. I mean, 50 Cent started a promotional company a couple of years ago. Floyd Mayweather went to jail for the domestic assault charge. 50 thought when Floyd got out of jail, they would team up, become co-promoters together, start a big promotional company. Floyd decided not to do that. 50 took offense to it. The relationship was fractured then. I don't know what's happened over the last month, 2 months has caused 50 to go overboard with this and attack somebody like that. It's kind of a cheap shot. It's, you know, going after somebody's ability to read is kind of a cheap shot, but... I
think boxing fans, very quickly though, before we wrap up, want to know, could this affect Floyd as he prepares to fight Maidona on September 13th?
No, Floyd is so good at insulating himself, compartmentalizing this stuff, and in some ways it might even help the promotion. This is kind of a fight that nobody really asked for. It's a rematch from the May fight that Floyd, I thought, won rather comfortably. This adds a narrative, this adds a layer to it. Now we're talking about this fight. You mentioned that the fight's coming up.
Yeah.
It's creating another layer of promotion. It might actually turn out to be helping a fight that I thought there would be minimal interest in anyway.
If you notice, Floyd Mayweather's alleged father, Floyd Sr., doesn't even have a middle name. So Floyd Mayweather wasn't even a junior. Floyd's alleged real name was Floyd Joyce Sinclair. So when Floyd stated in the HBO show 24/7 that he wasn't a junior, it was the occult subliminal way of revealing the truth to the masses.
People don't even know Mayweather wasn't even my real last name. Mayweather wasn't even my real last name.
Mayweather wasn't even my real last name.
I got my name changed to Mayweather.
Let me tell you that. Let me explain something to you.
It's a secret. It's a secret.
It's a secret.
We don't tell all secrets.
He can't tell you nothing because he don't know shit. He was a baby.
I had a name before Mayweather.
Floyd, Joy, Sinclair.
Y'all finding out new things about me every day.
Our training camp is fine. We undefeated. We've been undefeated. We gonna stay undefeated. Our training camp is
You was undefeated when you started with your daddy.
I started with you, didn't I? Get out your way. You in our way. This our gym. Where your girl at? This our gym. Get out of our way. This gym, man. I don't give a about this gym. You crazy? Why you here? Ain't nobody gonna do to me. And you ain't finna do nothing. And you ain't finna do nothing to me. To me. Put me out, brother. Put me out, brother. Put me out. Put me out, brother. Mother, get the f out of my gym. You couldn't fight worth. Don't whoop me, mother. You wasn't never the mother cab driver. When it's all said and done, there's only two mother Mayweathers that count. Roger Mayweather and Floyd Mayweather. And mother, I'm not no junior.
One thing Floyd Mayweather Jr. has never had trouble doing is making headlines in and out of the ring. He's done it again with the police investigation into shots that were allegedly fired from a Rolls-Royce owned by Floyd outside of a Las Vegas roller skating rink. Another subject that garnered quite a bit of attention over the years is Floyd's contentious relationship with his father. For now, the Mayweathers are back together.
Yes, yeah.
Controversy sells. Controversy sells.
Controversy sells.
You know, one day me and my dad, we getting along, next day we mad at each other. But you know, I'm always loving him because he's my father.
Floyd and his dad getting along, but not all of them are getting along. Mayweather's fight against Marquez on September 19. Today it was announced it'll be shown in theaters. 170 theaters nationwide.
Floyd Sr. isn't really his father, and that Floyd Jr. is really Floyd Sr., which is the occult displaying the yin-yang, Janus duality nature.
Thank you, nice one. Right,
sure.
I'm here with Mr. Sinclair. Now, you may know that Mr. Sinclair's son is Floyd Mayweather Jr. No. We wanted to know why your son was so good.
He has Jamaican blood.
Right. Now we want to hear that. You see that there? To everyone out there, to see people didn't know that Floyd's Jamaican.
Floyd Sr.'s newly found son, Justin Jones, is the occult, revealing how Floyd Jr. was really a project all along.
So we melt in the ice real quick. Who are you? What's your name?
They know me as Justin Mayweather and professional fighter.
You said your name was Justin Mayweather?
You heard me.
What is your kin to the Mayweather family? Where you play?
Floyd Mayweather Sr. is my dad. So Floyd Jr. is my brother, Jeff, Roger, they're my uncles.
What could you say growing up what it was like in the Mayweather family?
I can't say that because I didn't grow up with them. I didn't know my dad till I was 19 years old. We gonna get to that, but yeah, this is like 19 years old, so I didn't know who my dad was till I was 19 years old. Yeah, I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, like the Mayweathers, the fighting Mayweathers.
Just looking at you, you resemble them 100%. There was never a point when you hit 15, 16, puberty, your face started transforming that you were like, damn, I look like.
I don't like when y'all be saying that, and I'm gonna say y'all because you just said it, and because like I don't look in the mirror trying to look like somebody else or think, no man, but I will say like my older sister. So to be totally honest, when I was like 15, 16, my older sister told me that they were my family though, but I didn't find out to like get the DNA. We had a good DNA test when we only got around to 19. But the only reason she told me was because I was just bigging him up so much. Like it was crazy. Like it was like, of course it ain't no bias, like because I didn't even know the Mayweathers from Grand Rapids, to be totally honest. I was a basketball player. I was running around doing my own thing, but I watched them fight a couple times and I was just like, yo, this dude different. Like this dude finna be like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, And I got a sister that's like 12 years older than me. And so she got the background scoop that I wasn't able to get. So, you know, I guess she was tired of me just talking about him. Like, that's the only day I ever spoke about him, you know what I'm saying? And I was on her porch and she was just like, yo, why you talking about your brother like that?
Based on theory, it seems as though that the number 19 may be an occult ritual to their god Satan. It could also be 1 plus 9, which equals 10, and goes against God's orders, which is the 10 Commandments, or represent a death and rebirth to their god Satan.
love boxing, and HBO will always be my home. HBO will always be my family, and I made my money from boxing. But WWE is the best entertainment company in the world. There's nothing bigger than WWE. I just feel that I'm able to show my versatility, and they said there's been many stars and athletes that came to the WWE before, but no one showed the versatility like I did.
Over the last few years, they've always been people that are super passionate about doing this. You know, even going back to Floyd Mayweather wrestling Big Show at WrestleMania, I remember I helped train Floyd for that event, and the first time I spoke to Floyd about it, he was like, I've been a fan of this since I was a kid. My persona is based on a lot of this. My persona is based on a lot of this.
My persona is based on a lot of this.
I get it.
Yeah. And his thing, like, literally, I honestly had to talk him out of letting Big Show beat him, like, really hard. He really wanted Big Show.
He wanted that to happen.
Well, when I was a kid, I hated when the other guy came in and beat the wrestlers, right? And I was
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
We're not doing that, so let's just take that off the table, right? But his level of, I want to go in there. I'm not looking to come in there and just do a couple moves and get out of there. I want to put on a show. I want, when that WrestleMania is over, I want everybody to be talking about our fight.
I'm gonna break your jaw this time.
You gonna do what?
I'm gonna break your jaw this time.
Are you gonna break my jaw?
I'm Money Mayweather. I got all the money. I got all the
your
cash.
Your mouth is writing checks your ass. How about that? I ain't playing around with you.
I'm the main event and the main attraction. WrestleMania is Money Mayweather all the way. I can't wait.
You're walking in your own funeral.
I'm willing to die
You ran
WrestleMania.
your mouth.
Are you?
You hit me when I was on one knee.
I'm willing to die WrestleMania. Are
Trying
you?
to turn me into a joke?
I'm willing to die. Are you? Come on, give me some of that face-to-face action. You know you're fighting the best, right? You willing to die?
As expected.
Ricky Hatton talking about Floyd, you're really disrespecting me. I mean, what you mean I'm really disrespecting? Y'all disrespecting me.
You seem a little intimidated after seeing the Big Show in action earlier tonight. Are you intimidated by this monstrous man?
Absolutely not. You know, the guy that he was wrestling tonight, you see the guy's body, the guy wasn't in shape at all. I mean, it looked like the guy been eating pancakes for 3 weeks.
Floyd, I'm just gonna cut to the chase.
You know, this time, on this go around, I'm gonna break the Big Show jaw. Last time I broke his nose, now I'm gonna break his jaw. You can't talk to the king like that. I'm the real king. So you guys can't sit right there and talk to the king like that. I'm the king of the throne. I'm here to dominate. Like I said before, it used to be called WWE, but now we call it the MME. The Money Mayweather Entertainment. That's what it's all about. Well, it really don't matter to me. He can bring the pressure. He can box. I'm a true champion. I'm willing to go to his turf in Atlantic City. I'm gonna step on him. I'm gonna crush him. Y'all can mark my word to this. I'm gonna crush him. He's a C+ fighter. I'm an A+ fighter. Come Saturday night next week, all the fans tune in because I'm gonna dominate. This guy is flat-footed. He's swing wild. I'm not worried about who his trainer is because his trainer can't get in there and fight for him. The fans in Atlantic City can't get in there and fight for him. I'm ready, mentally, physically. I want all the fans to tune in because I'm gonna treat him like he's a C+ fighter. I'm gonna dominate. I'm gonna dog this fighter. I'm not scared of Shane Mosley. I'm not scared of no fighter.
We just want to get it on, that's all. I mean, the fans want to see a great fight. Me and Money Mayweather. Let's get this on. Let's do it.
Well, it's like this. Wait.
All right, that's it. Hold on. Bernard, everybody calm down. Floyd.
Shane, he neutralized virtually everything you could do. Why?
I think after when I caught him with the big right hand, I might have started loading up a little bit too much. I played into his hands, and I couldn't. Tried to bounce around, move around to knock it off of me, but I was just too tight. I started getting tight, and I couldn't throw a number of big shots.
Shane, you've been a professional fighter for 18 years. Why are you tight in a fight like this?
I think, like I said, when I
when I hit him with the big right hand, I said, okay, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to get that knockout sooner or later. And he started being able to avoid the punches.
Shane, you've been a professional fighter for 18 years. Why are you tight in a fight like this?
At the Olympic auditorium, when you first was coming up, what was those words you said to me?
I'm saying, whatever I said, I don't remember. You could refresh my memory, but I don't remember.
You said that I think you're a great fighter and I want to be just like you when I get up in the ranks.
Shane, I barely know who the fuck you are. Shane, I barely know who the fuck you are.
Shane, I barely know who the fuck you are.
This is Mark Kriegel for FoxSports.com, where we have just been visited by a very special guest on Super Bowl Radio Row, Shane Mosley, who was just signed to fight Floyd Mayweather. Shane, I was ringside the night that Mayweather beat Juan Manuel Marquez, and you all had some pretty serious words that night. And Floyd got on you for taking his shine away that after his victory. Yeah. You have a different take.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain that. I mean, when I got to the ring that night of the fight, I'm a promoter of the show. Me, Oscar, and Bernard are all promoters in Golden Boy Promotions. I'm a promoter of the show. Me, Oscar, and Bernard are all promoters in Golden Boy Promotions.
I'm a promoter of the show. Me, Oscar, and Bernard are all promoters in Golden Boy Promotions.
So when I get in the ring at every fight, Mayweather flags me over, says, come on over. When Max Kellerman calls my name and it's on video. I don't know why he keeps on stealing this shot. And he flags me over, and I said, okay, well, maybe he wants to fight. And that's how I went down. I didn't go over there and intrude or anything. He welcomed me in, and I acknowledged. I said, okay, let's do this.
After this many years of asking for Mayweather, how much bad blood is there between you guys?
Actually, to tell you the truth, there's no bad blood between me and Mayweather. I mean, I'm cool with Roger. I'm cool with Floyd Sr., even Floyd, like he said, we play basketball at 24-Hour Fitness.
Was that right?
Yeah, remember he said that's what he said. We play basketball together. Yeah, I mean, we're cool.
You got a really tough task ahead of you, going up against someone whose style seems really undefeatable right now. What are some holes you see in Floyd's game that you're going to try to exploit?
As I just told the young man earlier, we at a level in this sport where there's a gag order. There's not a lot we can talk about that until we're in the ring. There's a gag order. There's not a lot we can talk about that until we're in the ring.
There's a gag order. There's not a lot we can talk about that until we're in the ring.
Never give me a fair shake. You know that? So I'm gonna let you talk to Victor Ortiz, all right? I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
How you doing, Mr. Merchant? How you doing? How was your experience last night?
It was kind of exhilarating. And
What did you tell him? If you were 50 years younger, you'd whoop his butt?
something like that.
So do you think the decision in last night's fight was pretty fair, or, I mean, Mayweather
he hit him with a legal sucker punch.
Do you think Floyd Mayweather is an oversized brat?
He's a prima donna. He's an outstanding fighter. He needs to be in control of everything. He is a modern reality show.
Reality show, exactly.
In progress. He is a modern reality show.
Reality show, exactly.
In progress.
He is a modern reality show. Reality show, exactly. In progress.
All right, welcome back to Friday Night Fights. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Teddy. Let's
break this down and try to make it as simple as possible in regards to, of course, Mayweather-Pacquiao. The fight was all but done when Floyd Mayweather started to make demands for more rigorous blood testing. After a full day of mediation, they seem right now to be 10 days apart. Pacquiao has agreed to blood testing 3 times, but not from 24 days until the fight itself, but with a blood test right after the fight. Floyd Mayweather says he will accept a random blood test up until 14 days before the fight. So they're 10 days apart. After the stalemate, though, yesterday, Pacquiao's promoter, Bob Arum, said, that's it, it's over, the mega fight is off.
We're supposed to find out tomorrow whether the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight is finally going to happen. But apparently now, you can't count on it. Pacquiao has agreed to the steroid testing that allegedly scuttled a March matchup, but Mayweather still won't sign off.
May 2nd in Las Vegas, or if you prefer the countdown, 71 days away, whatever you prefer, it's huge. Floyd and Manny Pacquiao, this is at a Miami Heat game a few weeks ago, leading to some speculation that perhaps the fight was a little bit closer. They were together. Who knows what was said here? A lot of people thought it was about the purse split. Would Mayweather need to get more? Mayweather's legacy is on the line. He's unblemished.
Larry, let's go back. The last time we sat in this seat, we were previewing Mayweather-Pacquiao, May 2nd, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. As you look back at that particular night, how big of a letdown was it for boxing?
It was the anticlimax of the century. Look, when you invite a lot of people to a party and they go away thinking, I didn't have a good time, it's going to be hard to get them to come back the next time you give a party.
After that fight ended, did you say to yourself, we waited 5 long years for that?
No, I thought to myself, they pulled off a magnificent con. And somehow it got out into the ether and created this extraordinary worldwide pop culture event. And so you say, well, I get it. It's a business as well as a game. And they pulled it off.
Well, and going back to that, that's kind of the reason why I asked, is because it can be bigger. Well, of course. But what I'm wondering is, after you, I don't know if a pay-per-view star will still exist. I don't know if...
Because you have to have... It's more than just knowing how... You know, a lot of fighters know how to fight. But after that, then what? You gotta have the gift of gab. You gotta have the look. You gotta know how to sell a lifestyle. You gotta make a million look like 40 million. Make 40 million look like 400 million. If you took the random blood in your intestine a long time ago, we could have did it.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't, because you went away. Would have made 100 million.
Yeah, but if he'd have did that a long time ago, then I wouldn't have made 100 million.
Right.
So once again, I'm the smart one.
Floyd Mayweather's character was much needed on the chessboard to push this simulation forward. His money-infatuated persona, narcissistic, materialistic, self-centered, bougie approach describes the state of the majority of people in today's society. We are now transitioning into a different reality where the masses will overvalue money and materialism, seek validation, gratification, and public acceptance for joy and envy, but will end up far more depressed and lonely. As I inspected Mayweather's scripted boxing career, I found some very shocking connections and comparisons to former boxer Rocky Marciano that I found very spooky but also intriguing. Rocky Marciano's last professional fight, which was against 38 years old Archie Moore, who was an African American, on September 21st, 1955, which pushed his boxing record to 49-0. Ironically, Mayweather, much like Archie Moore, was 38 years old in his 49th fight to tie Marciano's record. Berto was 32 years of age, like Marciano. Marciano fight took place on September 21st. Floyd's fight was on September the 12th. Rocky Marciano retired from boxing with an unblemished 49-0 record. Floyd Mayweather as well also retired with a 49-0 record momentarily. Rocky Marciano's career seemed to be a battle against Mayweather and himself and vice versa for Mayweather. In 1950, Rocky Marciano fought a boxer named Los Garza who was 36-0 versus Los Garza. Marciano scored a knockdown that didn't get tallied and didn't count. Ironically, Floyd, who was 36-0 in his fight versus Zab Judah, Judah scored a knockdown against Mayweather, but ironically his knockdown didn't count. What I also found quite interesting was that Rocky Marciano's last fight was versus a black guy, and Floyd Mayweather's last pro fight to surpass Marciano's record to go 50-0 was against a white guy. Conor McGregor slightly resembles Marciano, and he also wore white trunks like Marciano as well. Marciano's last fight versus Archie Moore lasted 9 rounds. Mayweather versus Conor lasted 10 rounds. But this was also mind-blowing. Marciano died August 31st, 1969. Floyd fought McGregor on August 26th, 2017, 5 days before Marciano's death. Now it all makes sense why Marciano didn't want to go 50-0. This is my theory. With how the two characters Rocky Marciano and Floyd Mayweather careers mirrored each other. They represented the genus yin, yang, dualistic, the black and white similar to the floors of the Masonic temples, the battle of two evils, but also the battle versus yourself. If you notice, in Floyd's last fight versus Conor McGregor, McGregor, like Mayweather, was arrogant, flashy, flamboyant, and outspoken. From a sheeple mind point of view, this was just a typical fight, but this was also just a part of the script to further the race bait, to keep division in this simulation.
Champ, I want to talk to you about your fight with Conor McGregor. He's the Caucasian Floyd Mayweather. He's the Caucasian Floyd Mayweather.
He's the Caucasian Floyd Mayweather.
An investigation is underway after the mother of boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s children was found dead. Josie Harris was discovered on Tuesday night inside a vehicle in a driveway at a home in Valencia, California. That is according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. The 40-year-old had 3 kids with Floyd Mayweather. Right now, foul play is not expected.
Mayweather allegedly dated Josie Harris from 1995 until 2010. And allegedly had 3 children. In 2006, Josie Harris starred in a movie called Exit 38, which took place in a small town in Nevada, and the plot of the movie seemed very parallel to Mayweather's life story. The movie was about a vampire named Mercer who performs sacrifices by killing people, but much rather eat women flesh, which makes him become more powerful. The vampire takes over a gentleman's strip club, and all the women started to come up missing. Federal agents seek to stop Mercer before he perform another sacrifice. The federal agents then went to a psychic to find out Mercer's intentions. They found out that Mercer's mission was to find this written book, which was titled The Vampire Bible, to perform a ritual that kills everyone. It was the only copy. The female that Mercer killed was the daughter to one of the cops. She died but came back as a vampire to help Mercer find the book. Josie joined the strip club where Mercer worked. She went in to meet Mercer but survived. Towards the end of the movie, Josie met a cop at a hotel. As she opened the door, it showed the number 4. At the end of the movie, Mercer, who had become the owner of the strip club, was killed. The female cop, who had been turned into a vampire, deceived her father and husband, who were all teamed in the beginning of the movie to stop Mercer by pretending that she would help. Stop Mercer and return to the side of good. But she lied and went to find the vampire book for herself to perform a final ritual.
People should accept you for being real and not being fake.
Floyd Mayweather is a megalomaniac. Anything he says, what he believes in, he's a megalomaniac. To understand Floyd Mayweather, you have to read Eugene O'Neill's play Emperor Jones.